They seemed sad as they spoke about their past, sure and understandable, but they also had something special about them. Grateful to have survived, happy to live in peace after all, and proud to see their children and grandchildren live in much better conditions in free and open societies. And this attitude continues to impress me. It is a sign of greatness and an example to all of us. To not let the evil bring you down, but to respond by building something greater within you and around you. And for me, one of the strongest symbols of this attitude is the State of Israel. Built during the darkest days with almost no chances at the beginning, Israel has become one of the strongholds of democracy, rule of law, and prosperity in the Middle East and in the whole world. And I, together with many others, can only thank the people of Israel for that remarkable contribution to our global community. Given where Austria started from only 2 generations ago, I am grateful that Jewish life in Austria and relations between Israel and Austria are today strong again. Over the past year of our new Austrian government, we have made a sincere effort to strengthen this cooperation even further. In 2018, at the 80th anniversary of the November pogroms, our parliament held a day of national remembrance. We invited 70 Shoah survivors from Israel to Austria to attend a ceremony at our National Assembly. For some of those guests, this was the first time to return to Vienna since the dark days of the Nazi rule. And I will never forget the moment when I saw one of the women in the group explaining to her Israeli grandchildren that this used to be her home, which she had to leave a long time ago. And we were honored that she and so many others found the strength to return to Austria and to tell their story. Furthermore, we decided as Republic of Austria to build a wall of names, a memorial in Vienna, where all 66,000 Jewish victims of the Shoah from Austria will be remembered by name. Kurt Tutter, the initiator, who has fought for his idea for a long time now, is driven by the wonderful mission to remember all Jewish victims of the Shoah, especially those families who were wiped out without survivors, with no children or grandchildren to bear witness. But our work of remembrance is not yet done. In Belarus, we supported the realization of a memorial at Mali Trostinets, where almost 10,000 Austrian Jews were killed in 1942. The memorial has just been completed, and next week I will travel there for its official inauguration. But apart from these bilateral efforts to strengthen our relationship and cooperation, especially our EU Council presidency focused on the future of Jewish life in Europe. In today's political climate, anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are often 2 sides of the same coin. To combat both and to raise awareness of their danger, it was one of my personal priorities to host a global conference to fight not only against anti-Semitism, but to also put anti-Zionism on the political agenda. So in November last year, representatives from Jewish communities across the world gathered in Vienna to discuss our biggest challenges around fighting anti-Zionism and protecting Jewish life in Europe. And I want to thank you, David Harris, for your friendship and for your commitment in making this event happen. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank you once again today for that. The outcome of the conference made a contribution to the EU Council Declaration on the fight against anti-Semitism, with concrete steps that EU member states will take to fight propaganda against Jews, both new and also old one. The critical points of this declaration were difficult to negotiate, but with a coordination in efforts of Jewish communities across Europe, the Austrian EU presidency and also France, we succeeded in the end. Europe is definitely this continent of safety, of liberty and rule of law. To live up to this heritage, we must ensure that every member of our societies is and also feels safe and free. No one must ever feel afraid to walk in the streets of any European country, no matter who they are, where they are from, or what their faith is. We owe this assurance to all people in Europe and especially to the Jewish community. But we all know that a lot of work still has to be done. In Austria, our parliament recently did a study on anti-Semitism in our country. Overall, and that's the positive point, traditional anti-Semitism in Austria has seen a steady decline. But however, especially among migrant communities from the Middle East, anti-Semitic sentiments are increasing. Social media and propaganda from abroad appear to play a significant role also in our societies. And also studies at the European level show that we have not yet overcome anti-Semitism in its different forms. These findings are a warning signal for me, a warning sign which I take very seriously. In Austria, we are taking concrete steps to prevent especially our youth from all backgrounds to be influenced by these dangerous ideas. Our legislation continues to be very clear. Any form of Shoah denial, whether it is based on neo-Nazism or any other extremist ideology, is strictly forbidden and punished by law. And in addition, we are committed to a culture of commemoration in our schools. It is our goal to bring as many students as possible to memorial sites like Mauthausen in Austria, so that they can see with their own eyes the evils that were committed there. As a further step, we are establishing a documentation center on radical and political Islam. This new entity will track and identify routes and hotspots of these dangerous ideas in order to fight them effectively. In this context, we strengthened the legislation of our Symbol Act, prohibiting the symbols of extremism of organizations like Hezbollah or Hamas to avoid the proliferation of their violent ideas in Austria. But our historical responsibility does not end at our own borders. We also have a special responsibility towards the State of Israel and the security needs of the Jewish people there. When I had the privilege to visit Israel in the past, I was always impressed by the beauty, hospitality, and richness of the culture. And whenever I compare Israel's innovative and fast-growing economy to what we are used here in Europe today, I'm humbled. I'm really humbled by how far this country has come during the last 70 years. And it shows us that in many areas we can learn from Israel today. But besides all of this, we must not forget that Israel as a nation has yet not found peace at all. Israel is under constant pressure to defend itself and protect its citizens. For those of us who have grown up in peace and stability in Europe, in the US, or other privileged regions in the world, this is very easy to forget. And many are too quick to judge. Israel is often criticized, but whenever one country criticizes another, whenever judgments are made about others, people or nations, we must not forget their circumstances. And we must test the motivation behind the judgment. Is this criticism serving justice, or is it serving prejudice? This is always important because, especially in today's treatment of Israel and in the relationship that we as EU want to build with Israel, we Austrians try to do our best to be honest supporters and friends of Israel. This does not mean that we always have the same views or agree on everything, but it means that we must always remember that Israel is fighting to be a free country, a liberal democracy, while being under constant threat. And there is more we share in the struggle than could ever divide us. Israel is a nation that does not have the privilege to count Germany or Switzerland as its neighbors, as we do in Austria. But the neighbors are Syria and Iran, just around the corner. And we must not forget that reality whenever we judge Israel's action, because it's a different neighborhood they have. So we do our best to oppose one-sided resolutions and actions against Israel on the European and the global level. This is the goal we have had in the UN Human Rights Council, where we are currently a member, and we have decided to vote against the proposed accountability resolution because it seems to be politically biased against Israel. This does not mean that Israel is a perfect country and that there is no reason to criticize Israel, but I think we should always remember that the circumstances for Israel are very different to our region here in Europe. In conclusion, I would like to take the opportunity to thank once again the American Jewish Committee for hosting me today, the Jewish communities of Austria and Europe for their friendship, and the State of Israel for being one of our most reliable partners internationally. I look forward to continuing to work in future together with you to build strong EU-Israel relations, because I think we need them, to protect Jewish life in Europe, and of course to fight together against anti-Semitism here in Europe. Thank you very much. Don't show it. Okay.
Now you know why we were so eager to have you all here this morning. Sebastian. Come. I want to thank the Chancellor for a wonderful speech, a necessary speech. I particularly want to thank him for making abundantly clear, as I hope everyone will agree, that when we speak about anti-Semitism today, we cannot speak about anti-Semitism without referencing anti-Zionism. And this was the conceptual breakthrough with the November conference that you hosted, to put this squarely on the map. I want to thank you as well for reminding all of us outside the Middle East that Israel's neighbors are not Switzerland and Germany, though we all might wish that one day they could be. I want to thank you for the vote at the UN Human Rights Council, that you will move from abstention to rejection on this key accountability vote, and we hope on other such votes that come under the noxious agenda item number 7, which uniquely singles out Israel from all the nations on earth for separate treatment. And I want to thank you for making clear, as I hope other European nations will follow suit, that the symbols of Hezbollah and other terrorist groups will not be permitted in European streets, not even under the so-called guise of the political wing of Hezbollah. Hezbollah is Hezbollah is Hezbollah. And you're showing leadership again. So for all this and so much more, but not wanting to give an additional speech, we at the American Jewish Committee would like to give you this gift, which is a street scene of Vienna by a very noted then Austro-Hungarian artist named Luigi Casimir. And the dedication reads, "Presented to Sebastian Kurz, Federal Chancellor of Austria, in abiding appreciation for your friendship to the Jewish people and the State of Israel, your recognition of historical responsibility, and your commitment to democratic values, American Jewish Committee, March 21st, 2019.